Some deeply motivated people still end up completely lost in life, not because they're lazy or naturally less intelligent than others, but because motivation secretly behaves very differently than people imagine daily. Most people think motivation automatically creates success if maintained long enough. Sounds logical, right? Work harder, stay focused, eventually everything should improve naturally. But real life rarely works according to emotional intensity alone anymore. You probably experienced this cycle without even fully noticing it before. One night suddenly feels emotionally powerful, exciting, and deeply life-changing inside. You create huge goals and impossible plans before sleeping very confidently. Tomorrow becomes your new beginning inside your emotional identity. You wake up energized and suddenly feel mentally unstoppable for a few hours. You organize everything carefully and promise yourself permanent transformation finally started. Then slowly, the emotional energy begins quietly disappearing over several difficult days. Stress appears, motivation drops, and the routine suddenly feels emotionally exhausting again. Eventually, the entire system collapses exactly like every previous attempt before. And honestly, this is where most people become psychologically trapped for years, because modern culture constantly worships motivation like some magical life solution everywhere. Wake up earlier, hustle harder, stay disciplined, never stop pushing yourself forward. Social media especially turns motivation into entertainment instead of sustainable transformation systems. What most people never realize is something incredibly important about human psychology. Motivation is emotional energy, not structural behavioral stability inside your daily life. And emotions naturally change depending on sleep, stress, environment, and mental pressure. That means motivation itself was never designed carrying your future consistently. Here's what actually happens behind most successful people you admire from distance. They depend less on motivation and more on repeatable systems every single day. Small habits, stable routines, reduced friction, and automatic behavioral patterns matter more, because systems continue working even after emotional excitement completely disappears from your mind. Think about two different people trying improving their lives for an entire year. One waits feeling inspired before starting difficult work every single morning consistently. The other simply follows routines without negotiating emotionally every single day anymore. At first, the motivated person usually looks dramatically more passionate and ambitious, but months later, the routine-based person quietly moves much farther ahead consistently. Because consistency always survives longer than emotional intensity inside difficult modern environments today. And this creates another hidden problem most motivated people never expect beforehand naturally. Highly motivated people often start way too aggressively during their transformation attempts initially. Extreme schedules, impossible standards, unrealistic expectations, and exhausting productivity systems appear immediately. For a few days, everything feels exciting and emotionally rewarding inside their imagination deeply, but intensity without sustainability almost always creates psychological burnout surprisingly fast afterward. This is why many hardworking people secretly feel exhausted despite strong personal ambition. They're sprinting through life while expecting marathon-level endurance from their exhausted minds, and eventually their nervous systems simply cannot maintain that emotional pressure anymore consistently. The hidden pattern here is actually deeper than simple laziness or discipline issues. Your brain mistakes excitement for progress because excitement emotionally feels extremely productive internally. But progress usually looks boring, repetitive, slow, and emotionally unimpressive at first glance. That truth feels uncomfortable because humans naturally love emotional intensity and dramatic transformation stories. But real growth usually happens quietly through repeated actions nobody celebrates publicly online. The people changing their lives permanently are rarely feeling motivated every single day. They simply make action easier, smaller, and more repeatable under stressful conditions consistently. Instead asking how stay motivated, ask something much more strategically powerful instead today. How can I make progress easier repeating even during difficult emotional periods consistently? That single mindset changes how you approach personal growth completely from now, because sustainable systems protect your future when motivation inevitably disappears without warning someday. And honestly, motivation will disappear sometimes because you are still completely human. Some mornings you will feel tired, distracted, emotionally overwhelmed, and mentally disconnected inside. That does not mean you are failing or permanently losing your personal potential. It simply means emotional energy was never supposed guiding your entire life alone. The real advantage comes from building structures surviving emotional chaos and difficult seasons gracefully. Small actions repeated consistently eventually create momentum stronger than temporary emotional excitement ever can. That is how ordinary people slowly build extraordinary lives without dramatic motivational explosions constantly. So maybe success is not about becoming endlessly motivated after all anymore today. Maybe success means continuing forward calmly after motivation quietly leaves the room completely. And honestly, that changes everything about how personal growth actually works in life. If this gave you clarity, subscribe to Thought Margin for weekly psychological insights.